Hello. Okay, so I don't fully know what I'm doing here, but hopefully this will work, and you guys can all see me and hear me and all those great things. So, hello. I'm sure most people watching this know who I am, but if you don't, I am Jessica Little. I am the fourth daughter of Steve Hunt and Jennifer Roberts. Those are my parents. So, I am super excited about what I'm doing, and hopefully some of you guys will be too, and will be able to enjoy watching these videos or listening to. I'm hoping to get it on like a podcast. I'm trying to figure out the best ways for everyone to have access to be able to see or hear what I'm doing. So this is kind of first episode, I guess, test run, kind of to see how this goes and how to work the whole recording and getting it out to the family for you guys to be able to enjoy grandma's journals. So, okay, I'm going to give you just a little tidbit of like what I'm doing, and then we can jump in. So, anybody that knows, okay, I say grandma, and you guys, she may not be your grandma. So, Peggy Hunt is my grandma. And she is amazing. And so however you are related to her, whether that is a child, an aunt, an uncle, a grandchild, great-grandchild, great-great-grandchild, friend, aunt, uncle, whatever, however you're related to Peggy, this, I don't even know what to call this because I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to put it, whether it's going to be like YouTube videos or podcasts or whatever it ends up being. This will be all about her and her amazing journals. So most people that know my grandma Peggy knows that she has kept a journal since 1977. I think in current, this last year or so, she has stopped writing in her journals. Just because, she's now 91 years old, and maybe her life is a little repetitive at this point, and so she is not writing them anymore. At least that's what she told me. So maybe she has written a few things here and there. I'm not 100% sure. However, she has kept a journal since 1977. So for decades, Grandma Peggy has been diligent in keeping a journal. And anybody that knows me knows how much I love family history and anything regarding that. So I have always been so intrigued by my grandma's journals, and I have seen them on the bookshelf in the TV room for years and years and years. And I've, pulled one off here and there and read like the day I was born or the day some of my siblings were born or things like that. But I finally decided to just ask Grandma if I could take her very first journal home, because I wanted to do something with it. And she let me, which I was super excited about. And I will tell you, so, she lives in Mesa, Arizona. I live in Georgia. So when I borrowed that first journal, I protected that thing with my life. I carried it on the plane with me. I never let it out of my sight. I protected that thing with my life, because to me, that is like precious gold I was holding. Anyways, so I wanted to take these journals and put them into text, print, or whatever you want. Well, however you want to say it. So as we know, Grandma Peggy, she has the most beautiful handwriting. And anyone that knows her, her handwriting is very distinct. So here is if you guys can see this, here is a page from her journal. Beautiful handwriting. But she writes all in cursive. And think about our kids these days. How many of them even know how to read cursive? Probably not very many of them. And so, I think about when I'm doing family history work or indexing or anything like that, and I'm trying to do stuff from the early 1900s or the late 1800s. And they had the most beautiful, elegant handwriting, but it is hard to read. And so I have to think our kids in the future, even though it's easy for us to read this beautiful handwriting, they might look at this like I look at early 1900 handwriting and be like, what does that say? Because a lot of kids are not taught cursive these days. So I wanted to take it and put it into text format so that it can be put into a book for future generations to read, because her words need to be shared. They need to be read, as she has spent many, many, many hours writing these all down for us. So now, obviously, I've had the privilege to have that first journal book, and I made a full copy of it. And then the next time I went to visit, I gave that one back, and I said, "Can I borrow the second one now?" And she said, "Why don't you take a few with you?" So I have the next 4 volumes 2 through 5 here at my house. Now, I am still in book 1. Because this is not an easy task to do. But it is seriously an honor to be able to do this. So what I decided to do, because I was trying to think like, how can I share this with the family? I shouldn't be the only one being blessed by reading her words and hearing about, all that was going on in her life and in her family's life and her testimony and her love for grandpa, and just like I have been blessed greatly by this, and I want to be able to share it with the rest of the family and those who love her. So I kept I'm deciding, I'm still trying to figure it out, obviously. So whether I'll put it in a podcast, whether it'll be YouTube videos, however it'll be, I'm not really sure. But I just want to make sure that it is some sort of format that anybody has access to it whenever they want it. And it can be shared with future generations as well. So my overall goal with all of this is to have all of her journals in text, print, I don't know what you call it, form. And I want to collect pictures to go with these entries, and so that there can be text and pictures together. And then I will eventually, someday, after I have done this with I think she has upwards of 40 books, 40 journals full. And that's going to be one ginormous book, so maybe it has to be more. I'm not really sure. Anyways, but I would love to have text and pictures together so that when you're reading about these people, some people might be like, I don't know who that is. We can have pictures of them, and then we can just get to learn and know our ancestors and our loved ones that much more. So that is my overall goal, is to have a book of Grandma's journal, or books, plural, of Grandma's journals, most likely. So, what I'm hoping to do on these videos is to read entries from her journal for you guys to hear and be blessed with her words as I have been. And then I will, at the end, kind of go through a list. So as I've been doing it, I've been keeping a list of the pictures that I would like to gather. If they exist, there might not be pictures of every event that I read about in here, but if there are pictures, I would love to get them from anybody who's watching this that might have them, to be able to put those in book format with text and picture. So that is my goal. That is what I hope to do. Obviously, this is a ginormous project, and it might take many years to accomplish it. But in the meantime, I want to be able to share her entries with anybody who wants to listen. So with that said, I figured we could get started with the first few entries. Now, I don't want these videos or podcast clips, or however it's going to get to you, to be too long, because I know a lot of times people don't have time to listen to really long videos or podcasts or whatever. So I do plan to break them up. Like it will never be longer than a half an hour. Some will be shorter than that, but never. I'm hoping to never have anyone longer than a half an hour. So that is my goal. And then you guys can just listen to them as you can. And I might throw some of my own commentary in them, or, share some thoughts or whatever. And I would love if anyone else has things to share. We have our family Facebook page. If you're not a part of that and want to be, let me know and I can add you to it, and we can, share things on there about them. Or, if it's the YouTube video you're watching, you can comment on there, or the podcast, you can comment there, or whatever. Or you can just text me and be like, oh my gosh, I listened to Grandma's entries today and I loved this and this and this. Anyways, or just listen and don't say anything at all. You don't have to. Anyways, okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to read the first few. Now, I will say this. There are people in these entries that I don't know. And so there is a great chance I say their names wrong. So that's another thing. If you're like, oh, her name is actually this, you pronounce it like that. And honestly, there's sometimes where grandma might write a word or a name and I can't exactly make it out. I have, sent like screenshots to my dad and my aunts and be like, do you guys know what this name is? Can you ask grandma what this says? Anyway, so I have tried to like figure those out, but sometimes there might be like a first name and the last name I just have a question mark, so I'm like, I don't even know what this says. So anyways, but I'll do my best. So anyways, like I said, so her journal started back in 1977. Her first entry is May 8th, 1977. So I am just going to go ahead and I'm going to read right from here what that I have typed to you guys, and then I will tell you like what pictures I'm looking for. If anybody has them, you can send them to me. So, okay. So obviously I'm going to be looking down while I'm reading this, but all right, May 8th, 1977. I wasn't even alive yet. I am writing this journal because of a darling teenager with as much beautiful spirit on the inside as the out. Karen Allred presented this to me as a Mother's Day gift. She is possibly my future daughter-in-law, and if she is, she will be a daughter that anyone can be proud of. We traveled from Mesa to Phoenix this morning to visit with our mothers, taking plants and love, but mostly love, because these two women have been a big influence in our lives and have taught us many things. A card and a letter came from Steve, who is on a mission. So Steve is my dad, and he was on a mission at this time. In the Boston, Massachusetts mission. He has been the kind of boy that always made it fun to be a mother. It is always a joy to be with my daughters and watch them grow and develop, and I feel their love ever so close when they are around. Needless to say, Mother's Day was sweet and special. And that is the end of that entry. So I loved that. The whole reason she started this journal keeping was because of one of my dad's girlfriends back then. I'm pretty sure her name is pronounced Karen. It's spelt different, Caryn. Allred gave my grandma Peggy a journal, and that is how she started keeping her journal. So I thought that was super awesome. She says in here she is possibly my future daughter-in-law. Spoiler alert, she was not. She was not her future daughter-in-law, because that is not my mother, and she was my dad's girlfriend at that time. Anyways, but I loved that, and I loved and this is when I said I'm gonna add my own commentary. I'm sorry if that annoys you. Fast forward, but it's fun to read when my dad was on a mission, because now my nephew's getting ready to go on a mission, and one of my nieces is on a mission. So to think of my dad at the age of my nieces and nephews is super fun. And yeah, he served in the New England mission. Okay, next entry, May 9th, 1977. Now, I will tell you before I start this, she did not write every single day. She wrote a lot of days, but there will be times where days will be skipped. So, I mean, there's not going to be an entry every single day from May 8th, 1977 to current. But she wrote a lot of days. So, okay, May 9th, 1977, Monday. Today is our 24th wedding anniversary, meaning her and my grandpa Alex's 24th wedding anniversary. And never before have I felt so much love for my husband as I do now. Alex is sick in bed, and we will probably do no special celebrating today. But every day is special for me because he treats me so special and makes me feel like I am really a queen in our home. I have as many faults as anyone, but he tells me every day how perfect I am. And it does help because I do try harder for perfection. It is hard to believe anyone else could be loved so special and treated so kindly by their mate. What a joy to think about spending the next 24 in such sweet spirit and preparing for the eternities together. Anyone that knows my grandma Peggy and my grandpa Alec know that their love was the sweetest thing, and you're going to hear a lot about it in these journals, and it just warms my heart every time I read it because it is so sweet. And she's right, everyone should feel lucky. as she did to have such an amazing mate, in her words. So their love was special. All right, May 10th, 1977, Tuesday. I have fasted all day for Bernice Carrell, I'm not really sure, Carrell, Alec's stepsister, who is in the hospital with lung cancer and a tumor on her brain. We went to the hospital this evening so Alec could administer to her. Never before have I seen Alec so spiritual and so close to the Lord as he has been lately. Bernice's cousin, Bill Sexton, was there, and he did the anointing, and Alec gave the blessing. I know that the words Alec spoke were from the Lord, and that whatever would be the Lord's will, that Bernice would accept it. We both had a good feeling and felt such a closeness for the Lord and for one another. As we knelt in prayer that evening, the Lord was so near that it is hard for me to utter the words of thanks through tears that seemed endless that night. It is times like this that make me know that God lives and that prayers are answered. Grandma bears her testimony a lot throughout these entries, and I absolutely love it. If nobody could deny her love of her Savior and her testimony, so it is really comforting to read. All right, May 15th, 1977, Sunday. Bernice called me this morning and told me the doctors wanted to operate on the tumor this week. She said she was not scared and she had a good feeling about everything. Bernice is not a member of the church, and neither is Robert, her husband, but they have a son, Danny, who is on a mission in Pennsylvania. Side note, I'm going to put in here for anyone reading this, if you don't know, Grandma Peggy and Grandpa Alec are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So anytime she's talking about the church or anything like that, she is talking about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So yeah, her son Danny, who's on a mission in Pennsylvania. Bernice told me she does not want her son to come home, that he would do her much more good where he is, and she knew the Lord wanted him there. She is paralyzed on the left side, but her determination and attitude is great, and Alec and I know her son will be with her more closely than anyone knows. All right, I'm going to stop there for today, just because I did kind of have a long intro explaining this. And then after that entry, we actually jump ahead several months. So I'm just going to stop there. So that's just kind of like a little preview tidbit of how I'm hoping these will go. And I think it will be really fun. It's fun for me to read them. I absolutely love it. And there are times where my family always knows when I'm working on Grandma's journals, because I'll be like texting like, oh my gosh, I just read this in Grandma's journal and I blah, 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 listen to this or whatever. So I love it. So with just those few entries, a picture I'm looking for is for Grandpa Alec's stepsister, Bernice. And again, I'm not sure if her last name is Carrell. I'm not really sure. I'm not the greatest outer of words. But her last name is spelled Carrell. So if anybody listening to this has a picture of Bernice, Grandpa, well, I'm going to always call them Grandma and Grandpa because that's who they are to me. So just know that when I say Grandma and Grandpa, I'm talking about Peggy and Alec. So that is the only one from those entries, is a picture of his stepsister, Bernice. So if anyone has one of those, I can actually probably look it up. Sometimes there's pictures of people online that I can find. But yeah, if anyone has that, reach out to me and you can send it to me, and then I can attach that to those entries. So that would be amazing. Or I guess the other one I didn't write down is if anyone has a picture of Grandma and Grandpa around their 24th wedding anniversary. So it would have been May of 1977. If there are any pictures of Grandma and Grandpa around that time, we can also attach that to that entry right there. So, anyways, okay, so that's kind of how these are going to go. And I will just read the entries to you. I will try not to add too much of my own commentary, but like sometimes just things might need explained or whatever, just to make it easier to understand. And sometimes I can't help it because some entries I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. Anyway, so, okay. And I'm really going to try to eliminate my ums and okays and anyways, because I say those words a lot. But hopefully this will be something enjoyable for everybody. And anyone who wants to hear Grandma's journal entries will have access to them, and it will be great. And then someday when I have these books all put together with pictures included and all the things, we will figure out a way to get them printed, and anyone who wants one can have one, and it can be a really cherished possession in your home. So, all right, well, I will leave you with that note, and hopefully I'll be able to quickly do some more of these and stay current, working our way through Grandma's journals.